Okay, got recording started. We've already had introductions for the town hall. Um, but again, we can't thank you enough for choosing Gardner Webb University um, to channel to this next journey in your life, and we're just excited that we're going to be able to help you get started and give you a good foundation and a good start. Um, I'm not going to say any more because I think we've already said that. Dr. Hamilton, Dr. Revis, with your introduction, do you want to say anything else? And then we can just move on about business.
Let's go.
Okay. Um, I'm going to share screen and then I'm going to, and you will always have access to this ahead of our class on each week, but it's going to be tonight's agenda, and we try our best to follow the agenda. However, you know, the best laid plans sometimes don't work, and so if we have to deviate some, we're flexible with it. But with that, Dr. Revis, I think we need to go ahead and talk about class norms so that we can get that over with. And this will be what we expect every week when we come on class. This is actually in your course shell, but we've put it at the end of the agenda as well.
Well, good evening, and I think it is appropriate to start our class and our semester together by talking about our class norms. And I hope that we can all agree to these norms, and that way we have about 40 students that are going to be joining us online, and that is a lot of students. So we have to make sure that we are working well together and respect each other's time. So again, Dr. Hamilton has emphasized this. We do want you to turn your cameras on. It helps us put a face and a name together. And I do appreciate seeing your full name so we can match that up with what we have on our class rosters. We always ask you to come online and stay muted while you're online unless we call on you individually or ask for anybody to volunteer to answer a question. We do want you to be present for the entirety of the online session. We will begin promptly at 7 and we will try to finish at 8. Now, we may run a few minutes over, but just like you saw in the town hall, our customary way of doing this is that if at the end we take questions, and if you feel good about the course content and don't need to stay around, then you can go on and log off. But it does mean when we say be present, that means that we want you to be in an environment conducive to learning and ensure that your distracting backgrounds are blurred and that you are uninterrupted. Now, my two granddaughters live with me, and I know how that is. And even though I tell them over and over, I'm online, don't come in, I know sometimes that happens. We would love to meet your children and your pets, but we try to do that. We'll come online a little before 7 for you to do that. So we ask that you can remain focused. And if there's a child that comes on the screen, I get distracted and I focus on that child. We do want to meet your family, but it would need to be before class. We also ask that you attend sessions without participating in other activities. We've had people try to attend sessions while they're coaching on the football field. And while you may do that, I get to watching what you're doing. I get very, so, make sure that you're in a space you can remain in a professional setting, that you're dressed appropriately and professionally, and that you're not distracted, nor do you distract others. We always ask that you use respectful language and tone, and we ask that things that are shared during the session that they remain confidential as part of the class discussions. So whether we're in class or whether you're doing work as a team. We're going to introduce you to Zoom teams later on in the semester. We ask that you keep that information confidential and that you don't share it with others. Again, we ask that you be fully engaged, and a couple of things that we're going to ask that you're going to think is crazy. We ask that you hold all questions until the end of the session. And that's just because as we move along, we've taught this long enough to we kind of know where you may have questions. And so we will build ample time at the end for you to answer, or excuse me, ask those questions and for us to address those at the end of class. And we ask that you do not use your chat. Again, I get very distracted by that. And if you're typing, you're not listening unless you're very exceptional at multitasking. And we ask that you just be very attentive and be present, be all in, and we will try to give you our all in attention as well. So can we agree? Can we agree with these norms? Could you give me a thumbs up? Okay. Dr. Stedman?
Okay. Um, what I want to do now is let me see. And I'm sure you've played around with this. I want to just do a quick Blackboard course overview. And then if you have any questions, about that, then you can ask me. Would just jot your questions down, and then when I get through, before we move on to the next one, we will address any questions that you may have based on what I'm doing. But when you go to your homepage, this is what you see when you open up um, Blackboard. These are going to be university resources. This is for you. This is where you can find. Well, let's open it up. It talks about as you're looking at that, it simply just talks about Blackboard orientation, the library support services. This is for you. So just familiarize yourself with that. Then the Bulldog Bundle Op, this is where you order your textbooks. If you have not ordered textbooks, this is where you can go and order them through the university. However, I would highly advise you to look elsewhere if you can find them. They're expensive here. So if you're buying textbooks, then I would look and I would order them from Amazon, other places before I would look there before I decided to buy these. Now, if you're getting financial aid from Gardner Webb, correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Revis, Dr. Hamilton. If you're getting financial assistance, you have to choose to opt out, or they will charge your account anyway. So don't opt out until you make a decision that you're going to get them somewhere else. But if you do get them from somewhere else, then you can opt out. And a lot of people do not get them from Gardner Webb because of the cost of it. The next section is just getting started in your course, and I know that many of you have already looked at that. You just click on, this is where your syllabus is located. It's important that you know what's in your course syllabus. And these are the week by week modules. This is going to be module 1, January the 22nd. And when you click on that, it basically shows you what tonight is going to look like. To be successful in this module, it tells you what you need to do. Just remember, you've got to complete the enrollment verification activity. Most of you, many of you in my class has done that, and I think Dr. Revis said that hers has as well. So you need to go ahead and complete that. That is a requirement for online for students programs that are online. The registrar's office looks at that to make sure that you are actively enrolled.
Dr. Stedman, may I please interrupt?
Sure.
I noticed that many of the students have completed that for your class and for Dr. Revis's class, the 601 classes. You also have a 698 internship class that is mine, and you also have to complete that for my class. And as of right now, no one has completed that for my class. So
Okay.
that
So-
also has to be completed. So you have to do that 2 times, once in your 601, one in 698. And I'll show you that in our shell later this evening as well. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Hamilton. The town hall link, when Dr. Stone sends that to me, this is where you can find that link if you need to go back and refer to anything that was said. Well, this is the link in the agenda. This is where the recording will be. You'll always see the current week's agenda ahead of time. So you can always look at that before class and say, these are the areas that we're going to be studying or we're going to be dealing with tonight. Once we finish class tonight, we will place this. I will upload the video, process it, upload it, and it'll go in your course shell here, as well as we email that to you as well. So you'll get that. And then there's other things that we'll make reference to tonight. The first evidence that we'll be talking about, Dr. Revis will be referring to that. This is some information on professional learning communities, and we'll show you some other resources as well. But when you look at the week's module, it basically is going to house information that we will need for that particular night. And and we'll continue to add to that throughout the semester. If you look at week 2 already, you'll see where you don't have access to some things. That's simply because we have not put all the information that you will need in there for next week. Underneath that, we'll spend time with this, not tonight, but another night. You'll be required to do peer reviews, and your peer review teams will be located here as well, the teams that you'll be working with this semester. And over the next 2 or 3 weeks, those are subject to change based on, if we lose students or we gain students in the class, we may have to change that. Familiarize yourself with those materials, and we will discuss that not tonight, but in another class. And then these are the discussions. This is where you will work collaboratively with your peers. And none of this is due tonight, so we will talk more about this next week, the items that you will have to share with your peers. Class norms, what Dr. Revis went over tonight, this is where you will find them as well. This is going to be your assignments for grade. You need to click on that. This is everything that you will submit to Dr. Revis and me that we will be grading you on, and we'll talk about that as well. Dr. Revis is going to talk about this policy and this assignment in just a few minutes, the AI generator policy and assignment. And just move on down. These are just going to be assignments throughout the semester. This is where all of the assignments for grade are housed, and we will be making reference to that week by week as we make assignments and as assignments are due. But the best thing that you can do is just to camp out there and to spend some time looking at that information.
Dr. Stedman, why don't you tell them about the calendar and how helpful that calendar is?
Okay. And Dr. Revis, remind me, we've got to put those additional dates in the calendar that Dr. Stone gave tonight, but we will get that in there. But click on this, the calendar. Okay, let's just say, okay, tonight is the 22nd. Okay, when you go to the 22nd and you scroll down to, let's go scroll down to 6 o'clock p.m. look what was there. The town hall was at 6:00 p.m. Your link to join was there. So all you had to do was click on the link in the calendar and it would have taken you directly to the town hall. And then also your 7:00 class that you're attending now, that same link was there to join as well. Now let's look at Sunday, let's look at Sunday the 26th. Why Sunday? Sunday at 6:00 is when all assignments will always be due, or not all assignments. Most assignments will be due at 6:00 on Sunday evening. Okay, let's look at 6:00 p.m. on Sunday. Look at there. This tells you the AI generator policy assignment. You only get 1 point for that, but you have to do it. Is due at 6:00, and then you must have your enrollment verification activity completed as well. Those are the only two things that we will be looking at to have that should be completed no later than Sunday at 6:00. But when you click on this, look at this. When you click on that, it's alive. You click on that, and the assignment is there. So where I was showing you in Blackboard assignments, that's one place where they're located. But when you go to the calendar, everything that is due during the semester is going to be located in this calendar as well. And you can complete your assignments from that point. And the calendar will now, is it error-free? We hope so. But if it's not, let us know and we'll fix it. Our eyes have looked at it 100 times or 200 times, and even with that, we miss it sometimes. So if for some reason something does not look right, let Dr. Revis or me know, because we're the ones that can change this. Dr. Hamilton cannot change that. She can let us know, but we will have to go back in and change this in the course shells if there's something that does not look right. But you need to camp out here, and you need to just see when different things are due, and we will refer you back to this on a weekly basis. Dr. Revis, Dr. Hamilton, anything else I need to say about that? Okay. Again, remember I'm just going to ask, are there any questions at this point about, get back to content. Are there any questions from anybody? Does everybody understand where you need to go to be able to access Blackboard? And does everybody understand, once you get there, do you know to just follow it? Just follow it down and click on everything and familiarize yourself with it. That's really what you're going to have to do. But are there any questions at all? And we'll visit this over the next 2 or 3 weeks. We'll visit this each time as we are introducing something new that you need to know. And I'll come back to it tonight as well, with some other things that we'll be talking about. But are you okay at this point? Okay, with that in mind, Dr. Revis, let's go ahead and talk about the grading policy and the AI generated work. And I'm going to go down to getting started in this course.
And while he's pulling that up, you need to look at where he's pulling it from. We use a point system for all of our assignments. As a general rule of thumb, your major assignments, your final assignment is worth 100 points, and your minor assignments are worth 50 points. And so there you see the link there for assignments for a grade.
Go click on it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guess what, Dr. Revis?
I think it's on down through there.
Okay.
It's grading I think it's called grading policy.
Okay, those are assignments for grade. I'm sorry. Yes, there's the AI, there's the policy assignment. You're right. I was clicking on the wrong thing. And I know it's there because I've looked at it. Um, this is,
It should be under our syllabus policies and other course
okay,
information.
let me come back to content. Excuse me. Here,
There it is, under
okay,
syllabus policies. Click that link open.
okay, there we go.
Okay. And scroll down.
For schedule.
I put mine up top. Once you click, it's right under the course syllabus.
There
But
it
here we
is,
go,
grading
grading
policy.
policy.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is. Okay.
Again, we go by points. And the biggest thing you need to worry about is this. You will always turn in your assignments for the major artifacts. We call them evidences and artifacts. Those are your authentic projects. You'll always turn those in for instructor review, and you get an opportunity to for us to look at it and for us to tell you suggestions to make modifications and revisions. But so that's only 50 points. But when you turn it in for a final grade, those are 100 points. The way you lose points is the late work policy. That's where you are losing points. And if something is due on Sunday night at 6 p.m., if you miss that deadline, that's when the clock starts ticking and we start deducting points. 10 points will be dropped from your grade if it's late automatically. So if it was a grade that's worth 50 points, the highest you can make is 40, and you can't recover that. If the highest you can make is 100 and you're late on it, then it's 90. If you are late on your peer reviews, and we won't talk about those tonight, but that's where you're peer reviewing information that your peers are submitting to you. If you miss the deadline on that, it's a 0. There's no late work for that at all. For each additional day you're late, it's 5 points. If you turn in incomplete work, you get hit with the minus 10. It's and the reason we're tough on that, guys, is this is an accelerated course. If you get behind, it is so hard to catch up. So we're really tough on it on these late assignments coming out of the gate. Just don't be late and you'll be okay. So we're tough on the late policy. The other thing we have is your AI generated work. We do use Turnitin. Before you're allowed to submit your work to TaskStream to have that blind state evaluator evaluate it, you have to run all your work through Turnitin. And I know everybody's familiar with Turnitin. Turnitin also checks for AI generated work. Don't use an AI generator, period. And you won't have any problems. You have to learn in this program. We assume that you do know how to synthesize an author's work and put it in your own words. So if you don't, then it's going to hit on Turnitin that you've used the author's work. We do want you to avoid using a lot of direct quotes because then it's somebody else's paper and not yours. So you have to become really good at synthesizing and paraphrasing others' work. So if you scroll on down, you'll see the total number of points. I think we got a lot of chats going on. Remember, please refrain from chats. At the end of the semester, here's how you earn your grades. And remember, if you get below a B, then you're in academic trouble. I think if you get below a B, you don't even get to move on in the program. And you may say, oh my goodness, how am I ever going to get 2,000 points? It's easy, guys. It's easy. Just don't be late on your work. That's the biggest thing that catches people, being late on your work. You cannot wait till the last minute to start working on your assignments and think that you can knock this out on Sunday afternoon. You just can't. You have to pace yourself. And there is a pattern that you will fall into about when things are assigned and when things are due. And you'll fall into that pattern. It's a routine that you can't even imagine right now. But after the first couple weeks, you will get into a routine of when things are due and when you need to carve out time for you to do your work. This is a 6-hour class, guys. So you need to expect that you're going to put in 12 to 15 hours just in your coursework. Just in your coursework. That's not including your clinical work. So you're going to have to be putting in a lot of night hours in the evening and the afternoon, particularly if you're an elementary principal and you don't get a break during the day, maybe catch 45 minutes to catch your breath. So it is an intensive writing intensive program. It is intensive, but I promise you, you can do it. And if you'll hang with the program for about 3 weeks, you will find your routine, you will find how to do this, and you will be fine. So if you will hold all your questions, if you have any questions on the grading policy or the AI, on the AI attestation, which you get 1 point for, Dr. Stedman, would you go back and open that up? It's a Google Doc, friends. So when you open it up, it's it's in with your
Yeah,
grading policy.
I'm gonna go back up to the calendar.
Okay.
Okay, that's for,
Sunday. And several of you have already done that. Thank you.
right.
But when you open this Google Doc, remember you've got to make a copy of it. And if you don't make a copy of it with your own stuff, save it to your drive, then this is your Dropbox where you're going to drop it. But the attestation is actually a Google Doc. And so you've got to make a copy, put in your information, and then save it to your drive and pull it from your drive. Okay? And that's all I needed to say about
Okay.
that.
I'm gonna stop share for just a moment, Dr. Revis,
Okay.
because you've kind of led to it already. And I know this because you've been in the chat box. Already some of you are beginning to question yourself, what have I got myself into? Can I do this already? Is it too much? Stop it. Stop it. Now, I'm the hat man. You're going to see I wear hats all the time. And this is why I have to keep it. I have to keep it. So I'm going to put this hat on. This is, and you see what I've got on the front of it? What's the word? It says teacher, doesn't it? Okay. Now, some of you are in an administrative role already, but most of you have been in a teacher role. So your mindset is, I'm a teacher. This is brand new for most of you, and we understand that. You're scared a little bit. You're nervous about it, and we understand that. Now, remember I said I've been doing this almost 13 years. Dr. Revis has been in it right behind me. Dr. Hamilton right behind me. We have been classroom teachers, we've been principals, assistant principals, we've been principals. We have worked at the central office at the superintendent's level. Dr. Hamilton is currently doing an interim for the rest of the year at the superintendent's office. So, we're not talking about anything that we have not lived and are not living ourselves. So my challenge to you right now is I want you just to think about it. The teacher hat. You've got to take off the teacher hat. Don't ever forget being a teacher, because you have to understand and know that to be effective in the role as an administrator. But you've got to quit thinking as a teacher. And from this point on, my challenge, Dr. Revis's challenge, and Dr. Hamilton's challenge to you is, and let me get my other hat, is I want you to begin thinking like a principal. We're going to challenge you to think like a principal. Now, you're going to say, right now in your mind, you can't. But like Dr. Revis said, you give us 3 weeks. And in 3 weeks' time, and I use this word, I've been using it ever since I've been in this program, I promise. If you will do your part and you give us 3 weeks, in 3 weeks' time, the light bulb's going to come on, and it may come on before then. That light bulb's going to come on, and you're going to say, Now, how many of you, as a classroom teacher, sometimes the principal tells you to do this, assistant principal tells you to do this, curriculum instructor, and you say, you get with your teacher group or whatever, and you say, I don't know why in the world we have to do this stuff, and blah, blah, this, and blah, blah, that. Your mindset will change. In 3 weeks' time, you're going to start thinking, I now understand why they do what they do, or I now understand why they said what they said. And it doesn't mean, and I'm looking at Ashley Spann right now smiling. It doesn't mean, Ashley, that you're not going to be connected with the teachers that you work with. You're going to keep those relationships, but you're going to begin thinking differently from how they think sometimes. And you will find yourself backing off, or you will find yourself beginning to defend the things that administration does, because you're going to begin looking at things differently. I wear glasses too, so you've heard it, looking through a different set of lenses. Sometimes you have to look at things through a different set of lenses. So not only are you wearing a different hat, you're going to begin looking at education and what you do with a different set of lenses. Now, your mind's going to be, over the next week, especially, as you're beginning to map this out, and the next 2 weeks, you're going to begin to map it out, you're going to quit many times in your mind. Many times in your mind, you're going to quit. You're going to say, I don't have time for this. I can't do this. I can't add one more thing, into my busy schedule. Well, those of you that are mamas and you had a baby and you had never had a baby before, you wondered how you were going to fit that baby in your schedule and in your life, but you did. And you raised that baby, you figured it out. Not one of you would be with us tonight if you did not want a next step in your career. And you would be cheating yourself if at any time over the next 3 weeks you say, I quit, I can't do it. You would be cheating yourself. So my challenge to you is, if you get to that point, you pick up that phone and you call Dr. Hamilton. You pick up that phone, you call Dr. Revis. You pick up that phone and you talk to me and you say, Dr. Stedman, I need you to talk me off the ledge. We have talked a lot of people off the ledge. And when we did, they'll come back. Every time they'll come back and they'll say, Dr. Stedman, thank you so much for not letting me quit. Now, I want every one of you to make a promise to us right now that when you get to that point, that you will at least talk to us before you make a hasty decision over the next. It's a lot of work. Now you're doing 3 semesters. In 3 semesters, you're doing 5 semesters of work. You're going to get another master's degree. So it's not going to be easy, but it's doable. We have successfully completed hundreds of students over the last few years that are now practicing administrators. So do what your heart wants you to do, and that is you want a next step. You've got to complete this to make that next step. Let us help you get there. In 3 weeks, if you give up, then guess what? At the end of the summer, you won't be one of the ones that will be marching across the stage and getting another master's degree. You will have given up on an opportunity in life, and we don't want that to happen. Now, is Dr. Stedman passionate about what he does? Yes, I am, and I think you can tell that. I am passionate about this. So are Dr. Hamilton and Dr. Evans. We're passionate about what we do. And we want to see every one of you succeed, and you will succeed if you will work with us and you will do what you're supposed to do. Now, Dr. Revis has introduced that grading policy. We're strict on that, but we have to be. You cannot get behind. This program does not allow for getting. So you need to go ahead and just figure out, I've signed up for this. I have got to make time. You need to sit down with your family and say, family, over the next year, I need your help. I need you to support me so that I can complete this program, because not only is it going to make a difference for Ronell and Mankia and Quindera, and I'm looking at all of you. Not only is it going to it's going to make a difference for your family, for their futures. So hang in there and give it. And and when we talk you off the ledge, that's not going to cost you 1 penny extra. We do it for free. That's free counseling. We don't even charge you for that. Okay? Okay. I need to hush now. And Dr. Revis, if you would just give a brief introduction to the 2 evidences. Talk about the 2 evidences that the big projects that they're going to do this semester, and then our focus will start on the first of those 2 evidences, and we will ask Dr. Hamilton to talk about the school profile that's going to be a part of all of those evidences. But if you would, Dr. Revis, talk about evidences, and then we'll begin our focus on evidence 1. Well, Dr. Hamilton, hold up. Let me, I'm getting ahead of myself. Dr. Hamilton, go ahead and talk about the school profile, because the school profile is going to be something that they will use consistently throughout this program. So Dr. Hamilton, if you would go ahead and talk about the school profile, and then Dr. Revis, if you would lead into an overview of the evidence work that they're going to be doing.
I will, thank you, and I want to apologize. I'm the one who apparently has thrown the chat into like a frenzy. So for the first time in 6 years, when people have completed their roster bar verification, and in your 2 classes, I can see it in the grade book that it's done it, right? My class in the grade book, it's not showing up in grade book. So I went back to content, went to EVA, went to the thing, and in Dr. Stedman's class, 14 out of 19 have completed, and Revis is 15 out of 20, so almost everybody. So if for some reason I don't have yours, I can get you separately. Sorry for, really making an already stressful night even more stressful.
Great.
But back to what so see now you last night, me tonight, here we are. But back to what Dr. Stedman was saying, I do want to say, I do believe that, first of all, that I was put here to be a principal, and it's the best job in the world. And I really do hope that you all will stick with us and get to that point in life, because it really and truly is a rewarding, and it's a mission. It's a mission. It's a Christian mission. So I hope you all will stick with us. So I am going to just go to in my share. So from your Blackboard page, my two classes are these two that say 2024-20, either Mel 698 C2 if Dr. Stedman is your instructor, or C4 if Dr. Revis is your instructor. And it doesn't matter which one I click on right now, because they're both the very same. So I do have the calendar just like they do. And I have not as much on there as they do, but like I have the class links on there. And then when you start doing some other things for me, those assignments will be on there as well. But that's another location where you can find your class link. But under content, so let's go back to content. And when we get to content, you have the same kind of thing, like getting started, meet your instructor, system, syllabus policies, and other course information. All that is same thing, enrollment verification. And then what you'll see each week in your clinical shell is you will see like week 1, click to open. So then you're going to find my agenda for tonight. And that one said hidden from students. It sure did. It's not supposed to be hidden. It's supposed to be visible. There we go. And so you'll find my agenda. There is my contact information, my email, and my cell phone. So please feel free to call anytime that you can. But right now, we're going to quickly talk about your school profile. So your school profile will go at the beginning of each of your evidence artifacts. So you want to go ahead and do a really good job with that now, because you will be reusing that throughout the course of this year-long program. So your school profile is just that. It's a profile of your school. So you're going to create like an overview picture of your school, create a descriptive narrative that enables whoever's reading it to really be able to create a visual of your school in their mind. So if they walked into your school after reading it, they'd really be able to know that culture, that climate, what the community thinks about your school, maybe like what's your school motto, what does everybody believe in there, like what is really the driving force for everyone who works there. But anything, like you might just have common knowledge stuff, right? But anything that isn't common knowledge or that you obtain from any kind of a reference source. I mean, you may get information from a news source. You may get information from Power School, anything like that. You must cite those sources via APA 7th edition guidelines. But anything like, and sometimes you might even cite something like from the school website or the North Carolina School Report Card or things like that. But anything, or EVOS data, you can cite that. But anything that would be like, our motto is do what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it, but that's not really written down anywhere, right? So you would just say that that's what everybody believes. That's how we work here, or whatever. But so here's some things to consider. You don't have to do it in this order. You don't have to use everything on this list. This is not an exclusive list. It's just some thoughts to sort of help you get going in your thinking about what you might want to use when you are creating this thorough, vivid description of your school. Again, you have to use all these things. Certainly not, this is not a list to fill in order, and you can use other things that I haven't listed, but like the age of the school, the origin, what's it named? Why does it have a reason? Is there a historical significance? Any kind of district information that is sometimes related to your school, like we're the largest school in the district, and you could use the demographics to enhance that data there. What does the community think when that school is mentioned? Oh, that's the best place there is to attend in our district, or whatever. Everybody's, the house prices are up in that area because everyone wants to live there, to go to that school. What are the town and community demographics? Is your school reflective of those demographics, or is it different than those demographics? What grade spans do you serve? Populations, demographics served, size, staff size, staff expertise, your academic or performance data, strengths of your schools, any kind of community partnerships you have that are active, maybe even like active PTAs or whatever, turnover. Is it a place where people go and never leave because it's such a great place? Or are you always struggling with brand new teachers, brand new principals, everything every year? Like, do you have multiple languages? There's a school near my house that has over 40 different languages spoken in one school. What's your mascot? What are your colors? Just, anything like that. Do you have any special programming, Leader in Me, School of the Arts, anything like that? Athletic successes that you may be proud of, academic competition successes, any structural or location changes the school has experienced. Some schools get renovations. Some schools have to completely get torn down and get rebuilt. So those kinds of things, any kind of community and family involvement. So those are some things you might want to consider when creating your school profile, but you're really just creating a narrative descriptor of your school that is detailed and descriptive so that when someone reads it, they can really get a feel for what special place you work at.
Thank you, Dr. Hamilton. And in just a few minutes, we're going to show you an example of a completed school profile that you will have access to. So, Dr. Revis, if you would go ahead and lead us into the first of their two big projects.
Okay, so you've heard us use a lot of acronyms for these projects. The AAPSL, whatever, stands for Analysis and Action Plan for Student Learning. So your first big project you're going to do this semester is talking about student learning. If you want to be a principal, you've got to understand student performance and growth data. Let me say that again. If you want to be a principal, you have got to understand student performance and growth data in your state. You have to understand your accountability process. So what this particular authentic project does is it makes you roll your sleeves up and it makes you do a data dive, lead a PLC, etc. And the next slide I'm going to show you, it's almost like a mini school improvement project. This is actually a visual that is used with South Carolina, the school improvement process. And what I've done is I've tried to overlay the different components that you're going to be working on this in the AAPSL to do this. So the first thing you're going to do in task 1 that we'll talk about in more in depth later in this class is you're going to do some research on PLCs. And we're going to use a specific PLC model. And then you're going to establish a PLC and have an organizational meeting. Then in task 2, you're going to start looking at your data. You're going to start doing your data dive. You're going to start looking at your most pressing need. And then you're going to look in the third task, you're going to do some research. And you're going to find ways in similar schools with similar problems, you're going to select programs and strategies. Then in task 4, you're going to develop an action plan. And this is kind of like your culminating task for this school improvement process. And also you will determine long range, short range goals and strategies. And you're going to put in ways in that plan for you to determine indicators of success, what formative and assessment summative measures you're going to use to determine whether the plan is working. So this is a quick bird's eye view of the AAPSL. And we are going to start tonight talking about task 1.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Dr. Revis. I want to take you back to content section. And under syllabus policies and other course information, do you see this section here? It says AAPSL Analysis and Action Plan for Student Learning Resources. Excuse me. When you click on that, you need to be able to camp out here for the next 5-6 weeks. You're going to be camping out in this section. When you click on this, and I'm going to show you this is where you go to see the template that you will be using. This will become your 601 Bible, the helpful hints document. Then this is information that you'll need later on. This is your completed AAPSL example. This is a completed AAPSL that shows everything from the school profile. It shows you task 1 through task 5. And is it perfect? No, but it gives you a guide that you can follow. And then this is, and we'll open this up in a few minutes, but this shows you the scoring rubric. This is what you have. It'll show you what you have to do to be considered, exemplary in your work or proficient in your work, or if you need help. But this section, you need to open it up. You need to camp out here. In fact, many of these documents, I'm old school, so I would print them out. I would have me hard copies sitting right beside me when I'm working. But with that in mind, I want to show you these documents. This is the AAPSL template that you will open up. Now, this is evidence 1. You will begin with the cover page. Now, I want you to notice it says your name here. The only thing you're going to do on this page in the template is put your full name there. Amanda Skelton. That's what you're going to do, is put your name there, and then you're going to move on. Everybody's name there. Now, I want you to notice everything. This is the purpose, but I want you to notice this area right here. Now, once you understand this, you're going to delete these three items here. You're going to delete them once you understand them. This is for information right now. If you see something highlighted in yellow, that means you've got to write something. You add text there. That's your work. If you see something in red, that is a reminder, and it should be deleted before adding your text. Those are suggestions, things that you can use in your narrative work. And if you see it in black already, just like this section right here, it stays. You do not change anything. You do not delete it. It stays just like it is. So again, in your work, if it's in yellow highlighting, that means you're going to write something. If it's in red, it's a reminder that you might want to consider adding this to your text and then take it out. And then if it's in black, everything stays.
Dr. Stedman, may I interrupt?
Sure.
I think Dr. Hamilton put this in the chat box, but guys, you have to write in this template. It is a Word document that is saved on your hard drive, not a Word document that you put in the cloud, not a Google Doc that you have. You must write in this Word document, and you must save it to your computer hard drive. Because if you don't, it will not upload to Turnitin. It will not effectively upload to TaskStream. Make sure you are writing in this template, saved to your hard drive.
Okay. Now you see the first thing. This is what Dr. Hamilton has already talked about. The first heading is school profile. It's highlighted in yellow. So what does that mean? It means you got to write something, right? Okay. And then these are the tasks. I hit the wrong thing. These are the these are the tasks. Now you notice all these headings and you see the red. This is the template. This is where you're going to do all of your writing, following this as a guide. This is going to be for task 1 that we're going to talk about tonight. Task 2 that we'll talk about after tonight. But you follow this. This is the template that you're going to follow to do evidence 1. Okay. But this is an important document that I want you to, okay. These are the helpful hints documents. This is going to be vitally important. What we've done, we have taken everything that you've got to do for the AAPSL, and we have put it basically in layman's terms, step by step by step for you. It's almost like holding your hand and guiding you through the process. Now, you won't always get this. You're going to get it with us this semester, but you won't always get this. So we're going to do a lot of hand holding to teach you how to do this. And then by the time you leave us, you should be fine to do whatever you need to do, because we will have given you the foundation to be able to do it without all of this extra help. But again, the AAPSL is the first of these 6 evidences. Prior to beginning work on the AAPSL, this is what you've got to do. You've got to have a conversation with your principal or whoever is in charge of you at the school. And you've got to let them know that you're in this program. They should already know that you're being tasked with the following responsibilities, and those are the things that we're going to be talking to you tonight. And they just need to understand what it is that you're going to have to do. You're going to have to ask them for permission to lead a new, notice this, a new PLC. You say, well, Dr. Steven, it's got to be something new. Now you're at the halfway point of the school year. This is an opportunity. Dr. Hamilton, you're a recently retired principal. This is an opportunity at this stage of the game for a principal to say, okay, I see where some of my weaknesses are right now. This is an opportunity to begin focusing on something. And in the process, it's going to help you identify the most pressing need at your school. But this is going to guide you in getting to a place that your principal is going to say, if we did this, or with this cohort of students, as this subgroup of students as identified by the data dives that you're going to do, if we work with them, guess what, Dr. Hamilton, 10 students can make you or break you. Am I right? So working with a special PLC, a special group between now and testing, can make all the difference in the world in student achievement. But you got to have that conversation with your principal. And again, I introduced you to page 1, your name here. The school profile, Dr. Hamilton has already talked to you about that. This is an example of a school profile. We provide you with lots of examples. This is in your helpful hints. And then we get to task 1. Now, task 1 is not due this week, but you can't wait until next week to begin thinking about this and beginning preparation for it. So this is where it begins. So Dr. Revis, if you would talk to them about what they've got to do to begin this process with task 1.
Okay, so first of all, your first task is you're going to be leading a PLC, like Dr. Stedman has explained. But before you do that, You have that conversation with your principal, your superintendent, principal, excuse me, and you always get permission to do all these authentic tasks from your principal because you're going to be pulling together a new PLC. And for the purpose of examining student performance, do not allow your PLC to get off on a tangent and start talking about school student behavior and attendance. That's the two things teachers always go to: student behavior and school attendance. That's not what we're talking about. This PLC is around student learning, examining your student performance and growth data. So the first thing you're going to do in task 1 is you're going to do some research on PLCs. And we use the DUFOUR model, DUFOUR. Now, in education, about PLCs all the time, and we're not really doing PLCs. We're doing faculty meetings or grade level meetings. We're talking about a true PLC. And there's a PowerPoint in week 1 that we won't get to tonight. If we have time, we'll do it next week. But it gives you an overview of the components of the PLC model that we are going to be using. And it's focused on student learning. And you see DeFore's name there. But you've got to do some research and have at least 3 resources, one of which must be DeFore. And you're doing like a mini literature review on what is a good PLC, what does it look like, how is it conducted, etc. It's not what you do in your school. It's what the research says you should be doing if you're using the DeFore model. And here's an example. A professional learning community, also known as a PLC, da 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 da. And you see that this person has taught not about what they do in their school or what they're going to do. They talk about the research. You've got to go to the Dover Library. You've got to find resources. Now, you don't have to do that this week, but this is the first task. Okay, scroll down, Dr.
We're going to
Stimmen.
tell you how to get started because you need to begin
Yes.
working on this, thinking about it and working on it this week because it will be due at the end of next week. Go ahead.
And
Dr. Revis, when they write their work, can they write it just any old way?
well, it has to be in APA 7th edition format. And I think Dr. Hamilton's planning to go into that in great detail and give you an overview of that next week. I'm
Next week,
hoping.
yes.
And, it's always author date format and in-text citations. You've got to know that format. Don't let that get you wigged out right now.
Right.
Okay? Don't want you to get overwhelmed to the point where you throw your hands up tonight. We
Right.
will take you through these steps. We want you to see what is coming. A lot of people like to work ahead a little bit, and that is a way for you to organize and manage your time. This is not due Sunday evening.
Right.
We'll tell you what's due Sunday evening, but this is the narrative, the research, and this is how it's written. Okay, you want to scroll on down just a
And
little
those of
bit?
you that want to, you can actually begin this week, right? And then when we go over APA, you can fix stuff that
Mhm.
needs to be fixed at a later time. Okay.
And you can see there's probably 3 good paragraphs here on that PLC research. Remember, you have to have 3 references, 3 distinctly different references, sources, citations, and one of them must be to 4.
Dr. Revis, what if I end up with 4 references? Is that okay?
Oh, that's wonderful.
Okay.
But at least 3. The next heading is about your PLC selection. Once you go to your principal and get permission to convene a PLC, then you and that principal talk about selecting members. Now, don't let your principal start telling you what he wants you to look at. Try not to allow that principal to do that. Some are going to immediately go to there. But what you want to try to do is say, we want to look at student growth and performance data. And so if you're in elementary school, you want to get a broad range. If you only want to look if you're in high school and you know for a fact that your NC Math 1 scores have been terrible, that may be where you need to camp out. But try to keep it open right now and try to, because you're going to bring together a group of people who are going to do a data dive on the data in your school, your most recent data, which would be your spring data, unless you are in a block scheduled high school and you have fall semester data back. That's great. But you're going to convene your PLC and bring a group of experts to the table. So you'll talk about the PLC, you'll talk about the members, why you chose them, what expertise they bring to the table, etc. And here's an example of how you would write that up. You talk about the PLC research to guide the goal, and you will have an organizational meeting. And when you pick PLC members, go ahead and just tell them their obligation is going to be, if they sign up with you, their obligation is going to be that they meet with you weekly for about the first 4, is that right, weeks of the
First
semester.
4 weeks, yeah.
Yeah. And you will have different things for them to do each week. But the first week, you're just doing an organizational meeting. And in task 1, you're just talking about why you selected those members. And then you'll talk about that first meeting. Remember, it's just an organizational meeting. You're going to establish norms, just like we did tonight when we had our first meeting. And you're going to at least talk about the vision and the purpose of the PLC, remembering not to allow them to divert your attention to student behavior and student attendance. We're talking about student learning, student performance, and growth. And that's, you're going to talk about that first meeting when you have it. And you will have to have your first meeting next week. Probably Thursday or Friday of next week.
Now, remember, you're not talking about identifying a problem at that first meeting.
Mm-mm.
All you're doing is getting your PLC started, thanking them and getting them the purpose of the meeting, and basically, like Dr. Reva said, establishing the norms, when you're going to meet, and those kinds of things. The meeting should not be, I would say, no more than 30 minutes at the most,
And you can do that meeting virtually or face to face. Doesn't matter to us. But you always, when you are facilitating that PLC, you always create an agenda and you always ask someone to take minutes, because those are going to be artifacts that you're actually doing these activities. Now, a lot of you are already torn all to pieces because you're probably thinking, how am I going to convince anybody in my school to add on another meeting? You can, and you will. Now, some of you have been in leadership roles within your school, either as instructional coaches, assistant principals, or dean of schools, and you're very comfortable with leading groups of adults. Some of you may have never done that before. So we are going to push you very, very quickly into that leadership role, but you can do it.
Dr. Hamilton, um, when they pick these teams, how many people do you recommend that they have on their team? Probably
I would say 3 to 5 is enough.
3 to 5 is enough. Um, if you've got somebody that appears to be a naysayer and just not cooperating, would you want them on your team? People, this is an opportunity to find people that you can work with. So you don't, If you've got a curriculum person over curriculum and instruction at your school, I would want that person on my team. I would pick people that are going to take it seriously, and they're going to support me and help me. So you're in control of this. So pick people that you know are going to work with you, and don't make it too many, 3 to 5 at the most, and 5, that includes you. If you can get an administrator to serve on your team, that will help you tremendously, because that means that if your administrator is on there, that means that when it comes time to have to present to administration, you will have already covered that because they're part of your team. So I would work hard to try to get my administrator, my principal, to be on my team if I could, or either their designee, somebody that they will allow to make decisions for them as it relates to the work that you're going to be doing. And then your reference section, that means that, and this is APA style, these are, this is going to be the sources that you cite, and Dr. Hamilton and Dr. Revis will talk to you next week about how to do that APA style, and this is an example of that. And then you're always going to have an appendices, and your appendices, at a minimum, while you're working with your PLCs, at a minimum, you're going to have an agenda. You're going to have minutes of the meeting. With this first one, you're going to have to, even though you're talking to your administrator, you're going to have to put in writing. So this would be an email. You put it in writing, I'm a student at Gardner-Webb University. I've been tasked with, creating a new PLC, working with you, and the language goes in that. Do I have your permission? And your principal should respond back. I look forward to working with you this semester. I'm excited, blah, blah, blah. I affirm, or I give permission for you to do this. So that email becomes an artifact. Your email to them and their response back becomes an artifact. You would put that in your appendices as well. And, other stuff that's pertinent to your meeting and what you're doing there. So that's a quick overview of task 1. I'm going to show you a completed example in just a moment, but before I do that, I want to take you to one more place. Okay, you see the course schedule for spring 2025? When you click on that and open it up, okay, there. Okay. Okay, and I know we're going over a little bit tonight, and it may be like this for the first 2 or 3 weeks. First of all, these are you'll see your links to join at the top of this document. Let's go to week 1. Now, this is basically telling you the things that we're covering today. These are some live links. These are things that will help you get started. In addition to that, where I told you, took you where the AAPSL resources were, there's some live links there that will help you as well, with information that will help you in doing the narrative work that you've got to do for task 1 of the AAPSL. What happens if one of these links just happens to die and won't open? It's not the end of the world. They're just there to help you find something. You go find something. They're there to help you, but if you find other resources that you can use, you use them. So don't freak out if it doesn't open up. Sometimes we've checked them all and they were working, but if for some reason it doesn't work, you go find the resources that you need. But and this will tell you again, this just is another place that tells you when assignments are due and what is due. I want to take you to the completed example. Okay, and again, you have full access. Is that it?
That kind of looks like the template.
No, I think I took the name out. This is
Oh,
the
okay.
completed example. Yeah, but this is the completed example starting with the school profile. It takes you into task 1, PLC research. Now, this is just an example, not for you to copy it. It's just an example for you to follow. PLC selection. It shows you how to begin writing it up, the PLC meeting. And then the references and the appendices as well. And there's one more thing I want to go back to. Let's go to the agenda for today. Notice under week 1, these are those same live links there, but I want you to go down to the bottom of the agenda. These are the first steps with task 1 of the AAPSL. This is a step-by-step what we've talked about tonight. This is what you've got to do. Number 1, you've got to complete your school profile. Number 2, you must meet with your principal and ask permission to lead a new PLC. Number 3, you must determine who your PLC team will be. Number 4, you must meet with your PLC to thank them for serving on your PLC, explaining to them your purpose for the PLC, and establish PLC norms and responsibilities using the Forger Guide. Number 5, you are not identifying a problem with task 1 of the AAPSL. Do not begin your PLC by stating what the most pressing need is. You will lead the PLC to determine this later in the AAPSL process. And number 6, note in yellow, there is nothing to submit to Blackboard at this point for the AAPSL. Task 1 is due week 2 for peer and instructor review. This is only to help you get started and hopefully have an understanding of what the process will be. I highly recommend that you don't wait until next week. This is an opportunity to begin your planning so that when next week comes, that you will be able to put things in place and that you can stay ahead of the game. Dr. Revis, Dr. Hamilton, have I missed anything with how to get started?
Well, I think just reiterating what is due by Sunday, this Sunday at 6 p.m. Let's talk about that. You have to have your discussion board prompt done, and that's introducing yourself. And most of you already knocked that out. And you must have your EVA or enrollment verification activity done. That's all that's due by 6 o'clock p.m. this Sunday. But we are highly suggesting that you go ahead and start writing your school profile. And you need to meet with your principal. I would try to do it tomorrow, Friday, so just to start. Principals are busy people. So you need to start thinking about when can I meet with my principal and who am I going to pull together for my PLC and get that scheduled. You need to schedule your PLC meeting by on Thursday or Friday of next week. Am I correct, Dr. Stedman?
It's correct, yes.
Yeah. but not this week. That's
Right,
next
right.
week.
Dr. Hamilton, help me. I cannot get my to stop share.
Hmm.
I can't find it.
It should be in your black bar at
I
the
I
bottom.
that I can't get it to come up.
Maybe if
Uh,
you minimize your screen or
Let me see.
just like maybe click out if you have participants or chat or something like that up, X that out. Maybe that'll help. Hovering at the bottom doesn't help.
I've looked at it.
That's
Can anybody help me?
If I hover at the bottom of mine, I have a black bar that comes up, and that's where I share my screen or stop share. You don't have that?
um,
No, I've
where
never
could it
had
have
this problem
gone?
before.
Where
Okay.
could it have gone? Well, Dr. Stedman, it's okay. Are you ready for me to do that last little bit about clinical coach?
Yes, yes, go ahead.
All right. Can you go to Blackboard and you can get into mine, I think. I think you have access to my classes, right?
Don't I can't go. I can't go anywhere now.
Okay, that's okay. So in that same place where we just were a few minutes ago in the clinical coach shell, on that same page that said Dr. Hamilton Agenda 122, if you keep on scrolling down below the school profile, you'll have information that just basically says that I'm your clinical coach too. Now, when in capital letters we begin working with the 21 competencies, I'll provide you with assignments and due dates for that. Don't worry about that right now. And
Dr.
I will also,
Hamilton, Dr.
yeah,
Hamilton, I think if you'll try to share, you can knock him out.
okay, well, it says I cannot start share screen while another participant is sharing. It won't let me
Oh, okay.
because I'm not a co-host.
Okay.
So
Okay. Sorry.
anyway, yep. So anyway, so it says that I'll be monitoring your internship log, and then you will see in there that that I have a link in there for the clinical internship log as well, so you can find that. Your clinical coach one, we don't really know who your clinical coach ones are, but it'll either be Dr. Moragula, More, Nutting, Ramsey, Revis, or Talent. So you're going to receive an email from one of those 6 professors within the next week. Please check your Gardner Web email daily and respond immediately to the request for scheduling a meeting with your supervising administrator. I would suggest to you, and this list is on this document as well for you, that you ask your clinical coach one to discuss with your administrator that you will be creating that new PLC in the building, as Dr. Revis and Stedman talked about. You'll be collecting data to determine that most pressing need. You'll be conducting research on best practices to address that pressing need. You will be doing some walkthrough observations during your AAPSL, and as also you'll be doing a brief survey. So just go ahead and have that information now. So some of you are going to have an administrator that's going to say, well, I don't want you to have a new PLC, or I don't want you to collect data, or I don't want you to do a survey. Go ahead and get that cleared up with the CC1 on the front end. That has nothing to be threatening or intimidating to the principal or the school. It's just if it does create a situation where you can improve teaching and learning in your building, that's great. It's not going anywhere except to your professors to be graded as far as that goes. So, it's nothing threatening or intimidating or anything. So hopefully they won't feel that way. But that information is on that sheet as well. All right, Dr. Stedman.
Okay, I've got here it is. I don't know. I found it. But anyway, guys, I know that this has been a lot tonight. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot. And we understand that. But please refer back to when we talked to you earlier today, and know that we're going to guide you through this process over the next few weeks. And again, I'm going to say it again, I promise you, if you'll work with us, we will get you there. Tonight, it looks like a big mountain, but it's really a small hill. It's not a big mountain. It just looks like one. It's really a small hill, and we will help you get over that. So please stay with us, and please give us the opportunity to help you get where you need to get. We're going to open it up. Those of you that don't have any questions, it's okay. You can sign out now. You'll get this recording later on. But those of you that may have a question, you can linger on, and we'll try to answer those for you before we sign out. But again, thank you so much. We look forward to next week. And if there's something you need to reach out to us to before then, you have it's in our course syllabus. You can reach out to us and our phone numbers and how to reach us. So does everybody, do you trust us? Do you believe, do you know that you trust us? Okay, please trust us. I know you don't know us, but trust us. I promise you again. Okay, so any questions right now?
I had a question. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Go ahead.
This is Amanda. This is Amanda Skelton.
Go ahead, Amanda.
So I had a few questions. I just wrote them down as we went along. For the artifacts that we need for the intern for the intern hours that we need to get, do we need to have artifacts for those documentation pieces?
You
Or
don't
do
have
we
to
just
have
write it down?
You don't have to have artifacts for that, but you will need some artifacts for your competency folio, but that's different. But you do not have to have artifacts for your internship hours.
Amanda, in about 3 weeks, Dr. Hamilton's she's going to have a good section of time to talk about those requirements for that as well. So that is going to be coming to you in detail. And she's also mentioned that she's going to put some videos together that will guide you in the process as well.
Okay, perfect. And then the other question I had was the AI generated Turnitin. I've never heard of that one. So is that through Gardner Web, or do I have to, is it a online program? What is it?
Yeah, we will show you how to upload your work to turn it in, but that won't be done until probably it'll take about 5 weeks for you to have that
Okay.
whole artifact
Okay.
together, and we'll
And-
introduce you with that.
And
But
Dr.
you know what
Revis?
an AI program is, correct?
I do know an AI program it is. You said turn it in. That is
Okay.
it a
It's a
certain
program
program?
it's a program that detects plagiarism.
Right. I just
But
didn't know if it was through Gardner Web. That
it
was my
is through
question.
Gardner Web, and
Yeah.
we'll show
Okay.
you how to do it.
And Amanda,
Perfect.
you won't need that. All of you won't need that until about 6 weeks. When you go through there, don't even click on turn it in. Leave it alone. Don't mess with turning it at all. You don't need to mess with that until we tell you it's time to mess with it. Okay? So don't even mess with it, anybody.
Okay.
Okay? Good
I have a
question. So, go ahead.
On the AI generator form, what I did was I couldn't I copy and pasted the link into my browser to try to get it to pull up, and it wouldn't. So what I did was I scanned it as a doc and then submitted it through Dropbox or like the discussion. I just hope that was okay, and if that was, then I would do it the same way for the other class as well.
That's fine. That should work.
Yeah, it should
Okay.
work, Heather. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, guys?
I have a question.
Sure.
When we're asking our principals for permissions for the PLCs, are we doing these PLCs weekly? How often do I need to tell him or ask him if I can have
Is it
those?
Shania?
Shania, yes.
Shania, for the first, it's about the first 4 weeks you'll be meeting with them each week. But
Okay.
after that, it'll be sporadically. You won't have to meet with them as much. It's just really through the AAPSL. You won't have to meet them with the second evidence. You won't have to meet with them as much, maybe one time. But it's about 4 times. And it could be more, but I'm just saying an average of about 4 times to get through the work that you'll be doing with the AAPSL.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, I'm Tonette Pegues, and my question is, if I want to take advantage of the Bulldog bundle, do I still have to reserve textbooks, or is that automatically done through Gardner Webb?
No, you have to do that, Tonette. So go in there and we don't really see that. So it'll guide the process, it'll guide you. And if there's any questions, I think it has a phone number where you can call if you have any questions about anything or have any problems with it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Stedman,
Yes,
what
ma'am.
will be the focus of the remaining 4 PLCs? We begin the first one. Is there certain focuses for each of the other
Yes, ma'am.
PLC
Yes,
meetings?
ma'am. All you're doing is just really getting it started on the first one, Salita, and then the second one you begin the data dive, and we'll guide you in. Each week we will tell you a new task that you've got to work on. The second one is that you actually begin working with them with the data dive. Then you're going to eventually you're going to get to determining this is the most pressing need. And then you're going to put a plan of action in place. So each week it will be a different focus, but we will tell you each week what that focus is.
Okay. Thank you.
You are welcome.
What would you recommend for when we're picking our staff members for the PLCs? Would you recommend a variety of levels of teaching, or would you recommend the BTs or a variety pack?
Would be difficult to get a beginning teacher to fully understand the scope of what you're doing, unless you've just got one that is just you've recognized as just being really out, on the top of things. I would get people that are knowledgeable of what you're going to be doing.
And by the same token, there are some of you who work in CTE, some of you who are music teachers, some of you who are physical education teachers and school counselors. And I know it's going through your head, well, I'm not familiar with student performance and growth. Well, look at this as an opportunity. You have to be able to, if you're going to be a principal or assistant principal, you've got to be able to talk it. So look at this as an opportunity to learn it. And yes, you may not know it right now. So you pick people from those areas, those state tested areas, to help you learn the state testing program.
Can you hear me?
And it really, for all of you, it should take all of you out of your comfort zone. So.
Another question.
Sure.
I teach kindergarten and I'm at a K-8 school. In kindergarten, we do state testing, but it's not they don't focus on kindergarten through second grade as much as they do 3-8. So would you recommend focusing on K3 or 3-8 since it's the EOG tested areas?
There's a lot that you can do in K. Dr. Hamilton, help out with that. There's a lot
Are you in
can do
North
in
Carolina?
K3.
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Okay, so you have Dibbles data.
Yes.
You also have your KEA
Mm-hmm.
data, right?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
I would say that you can look at the nice thing about having Dibbles data are that you can really drill down to a small specific skill to focus on, like letter naming fluency, initial sound fluency, phonemic segmentation, whatever. So that's a nice thing. If you really want to focus on looking at with your PLC at those data points and really drilling down, then that really does give you a nice specific realization of maybe where there's a weakness that you all could do research on and best practices to solve that. And sometimes in getting that shored up in those K2 areas, then in a couple of years, right, strengthens that 3-5. And, talk to your principal about that too, I would, argue, but yeah, I mean, there is nothing in the world wrong with using those Dibbles data because they're really good, very specific,
are,
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
Shania,
thank you.
one of the things it'll do once you and your team look at the Dibbles data and whatever else you use, it will let you know outside of kindergarten, where the weaknesses are in first and second grade.
Yes.
And that's where you could work on a grade level, or you could really focus on a smaller group of a grade level.
Okay.
you know
All right. Thank y'all.
you're welcome.
I had a question. Can you hear me?
Jamie, we can hear you.
Okay. I've tried it 3 or 4 times and it wouldn't go through. So I had a question about the enrollment verification in the internship class. It's on there twice in the grade book, but it'll only let you click on the one.
If it's in there twice, you only need to do one of them.
Okay.
Jamie, who's your instructor?
You
It must
are?
be Dr. Revis. Dr. Revis
Oh.
is you're in C4, right?
Yes.
Okay, just let me take a little glance right quick, okay?
Okay.
Let me see C4.
Other questions
It
while
shows
Dr.
you're
Go ahead.
complete, Jamie. Thank you. Thank you. You're complete. Thank you.
I
You're
think I
good.
have.
But if you see it twice, you only have to do it one time, right, Dr. Hamilton?
Yes, I see that Jamie did it twice, but yes, it's complete. Mhm.
Okay,
Thank you,
gotcha.
Jamie.
And Dr.
Thank
Hamilton,
you.
can you check to see if Ashley Spann has it for Dr. Revis as well?
Ashley, what's your last name?
Spann, Spann.
You're in Dr. Revis's class?
Let me make
Ashley,
sure.
you're
I
in my
think
class.
I think you're in Dr. Yeah.
Oh, no, I
That's
mean Dr.
okay.
Spann.
It gets a little confusing.
Yes.
It's
So I
okay.
know I remember Dr. Spann, yes. But I know for the internship, the 698, I remember
Yes.
doing that one.
Me, yes,
too.
that's me. So I'm going to go right here, Ashley, and I'm going to
Okay.
let you know.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, you're all set. Yes, ma'am.
Y'all will learn you're assigned to either Dr. Revis or me, but you belong to all of us.
That's
Okay?
right.
You belong to all of us. All of you do.
And one thing that I want to emphasize, guys, if you've got a particular situation, you're not sure about, how to pull together that PLC or who you need to do, you can always email your instructor and we will talk with you about it. If you're in a gray area and you're not quite sure what to do, email us. Because we'll be glad to talk with you.
Yes.
I was wondering, I've already talked to my principal about all this, about PLCs and everything, what he wants me to do. And not really what he wants me to, but just talking to him about where his focus kind of wants to be. And he was talking to me about CTE. Would y'all would do my PLCs through CTE? Would you think that's good?
Well, James, you're in my class, so I'm going to just butt in here. That's a slippery slope because do you have state CTE data?
Yes, we do.
Okay. But it's by program, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. I'm going to first of all encourage you to get out of that comfort zone and look at one of the other tested areas. But you can do that. I've had people do that. But you have to look at data and you have to be able to dive deeply into the data. And typically in CTE, it's very, program specific, I guess is the word.
Yes.
And so, how are you going to get a PLC to look at just, let's just say horticulture,
Mm-hmm.
because there may only be one teacher and two teaches horticulture. So if you do that, how are you going to get a PLC and all that kind of, you just need to think about it. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I appreciate that feedback.
Dr. Stedman? So we have encouraged people to submit their work via Word and
Right.
or a PDF, preferably Word, so that we can make
Right.
comments, right?
Right.
Yes.
Dana Allen says that at orientation that they were asked to utilize OneDrive, but tonight it was mentioned everybody, to save everything to computer. So the problem with OneDrive or Google or anything like that is that when we don't have access, we can't pull it up. So
Yeah.
that
Don't
has
disregard and don't pay attention to that. Put it in Word.
Put it in Word and save it to your hard drive. I
Yeah.
promise you, I don't want PDFs. I can't do anything
No.
with PDFs.
No.
Um, I I want you to put it in a Word document, saved to your hard drive, because I promise you when you go to turn it in, it's not going to work.
We're going to save you from having problems down the road by
Yeah.
going ahead and doing it. Put it in a Word document now.
I've had people pull their hair out if they put it in a Google Doc because it will not translate back to that template. And
That's why I don't have any hair. I've pulled it out trying to figure out what to do sometime. So
um, yeah, and also you really need your own PC. Like, don't depend on a school or whatever. I can't tell you how many times people have said, "Oh, I'm using my school." Okay, well, when school says, "Oh, we're going to replace yours," and then you've lost all your stuff, or school says, something happens with school, or they have to have them to put something new on it or do some kind of, there's just too much that can go wrong with school.
right. So
If we're
that'll do
using
that.
sorry.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
If we're using a school one, would it be fine as long as we're using like a flash drive?
that's fine with me.
Okay.
Just understand that your web browser, if you're using your school web browser, then it may block some things. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
And-
use a flash drive. That's what I would do. I know that seems antiquated, but just trust us a little bit. It will save you some grief down the road.
Jamie, and I would encourage you to go ahead and bite the bullet. And I probably would invest in one that's compatible for this program. It'll make your life so much easier. Because you just like you said, you never know with a school computer problems that you could run into through a program this. My recommendation has always been, have your own HP and, something that for this program when you can. So.
I have a question.
Okay.
With the PLCs, as the leader of this new PLC, are we required to participate in the work
You
of the
are
PLC, the physical work? Like once
absolutely.
we're expected to do something with the students. So if we
Oh,
figured
no.
out what that issue is,
No,
are
No.
we
no,
okay?
no. No, I see what you're saying. You're going to do an action plan, Salita, eventually, and the hopes are that it's going to be so good that your administration and your team, your school improvement team, they want you to be able to or to implement it. But you're going to present it, and then it's left up to administration whether it goes any further after that.
Okay. Okay.
But you
Okay.
want it to be the best thing since sliced bread when you present it, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And guys, I would also suggest that when we get this recording rendered and uploaded, go back and look at bits and pieces of it. We gave you so much information tonight. And if you're not on information overload, I would be surprised. So go back and break it back down and look at what you have to do. Any more
And guys,
questions?
you'll get this recording sometime later on tonight after it processes. You'll get this recording and you'll be able to refer back to it. And you don't always have to look. You can just fast forward it and find the place that you want, that you need help with, but it'll help tremendously. It'll be under week 1, and we will also email it to you. Okay. Well, Dr. Hamilton, Dr. Revis, thank you so much. Guys, I will tell you, I work with 2 of the finest ladies that you'll ever find. They make this man look good. And I appreciate all that they do.
The other way around.
We're a great team. We work well together.
And we want to see each and every one of you back online next Wednesday. Okay?
Pinky
All right, have a
promise.
good,
Pinky promise.
yeah. Have a good week.
Okay.
And remember, email us if you run into any roadblocks or have questions.
Okay. Guys, thank y'all so much. Are there any more questions?
I just have one really quick question.
Okay, sure.
My supervisor is my principal, but she just got placed on administrative leave, and she is probably not returning.
You'll
And
need
we
to
are
get you another supervisor.
okay.
That's something your clinical coach 1 will be able to help you with, and you should be getting
Well,
an email from them maybe.
Was
or
that you,
Dr.
Kelsey?
Stone.
Kelsey, you sent me I told you, call me tomorrow and I will talk you through that process. So
Yeah.
just
Okay.
call me tomorrow and we'll do it. I'll be at work tomorrow, so I'll help you with that.
Okay. Do you mind reposting your number? I apologize. I missed the
Okay,
last
go
2 digits.
ahead and write it down. 910-633-4816.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nothing like a bit of a turmoil, right?
Oh, honey, it's been a long time coming.
Well,
So-
I always say you can learn from ineffective administrators just as much as you can learn from an effective administrator.
Right.
Very true.
So that's what you got to think about.
Very true.
Well,
Good night, guys.
Good night.